Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, October 16th, 2016. This is episode 1332. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your home. Go to ring.com/techguy and get up to $150 off a Ring of Security kit with this limited time offer. And by Jira Service Desk from Atlassian. Jira Service Desk delivers everything your IT team needs out of the box at a cost-effective price. For a free trial of Jira Service Desk, visit Atlassian.com/twit. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here. Yes, it's time for the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, and the internet, and digital stuff, photography, smartphones, smartwatches. Oh, I forgot I left Minnie Mouse on my Apple Watch. That's if you don't want to look serious, you just put the Minnie Mouse on there. See, 8888 Ask Leo. We can talk virtual reality, cyber warfare. We can talk about that too. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can use Skype if you're elsewhere in the world, and it'll work. Shouldn't cost you anything either. It's a toll-free number in the U.S. 888-827-5536. And the website is techguylabs.com. Everything is there, including the phone number, a link to our fine chat room at irc.twit.tv. As usual, paying close attention to this show and filling in all the gaps when I don't know anything. I just look to the chat room for answers. irc.twit.tv. TechGuyLabs.com has everything, including if you're listening to the show, you don't have to write anything down. If I say, go check this out, here's a website or here's a program or whatever, it's all written down there. Thanks to James DeRuvos scribbling this all down as I talk. 888-827-5536, TechGuyLabs.com. I mentioned cyber warfare. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. The White House has announced we are going to, President Obama, according to unnamed sources, has instructed the CIA to determine a proportionate response to the Russian hackers hacking the DNC. The Democratic National Committee. I don't know what's proportionate to that. Maybe, I don't know, hacking the Kremlin and revealing embarrassing documents to what could embarrass Putin? The guy posts pictures of himself riding a bear topless. What could embarrass Vladimir Putin? Nothing. I was actually in Russia not so long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and it was interesting because I think the Russian people kind of like having an authoritarian leadership. They like putting somebody in charge. You do it. I don't want to do it. We'll figure it out. We'll stay here. We'll watch. So I don't know. I mean, you could do something disproportionate. This is my fear. We do cyber warfare. We start engaging in cyber warfare, and then it escalates, right? And one thing I think we know pretty well, and there have been books written about this, it's very interesting, is that our infrastructure, things like the electric grid, rely heavily on insecure systems, things running Windows XP. And, the federal government does not run our, electrical grid, not at all. It's run by a kind of a hodgepodge of private and quasi-public utilities, which all have differing policies. They interconnect. This is the part of the problem. They interconnect. The grid interconnects. So you remember when there's for instance, the 1965 power failure, the whole East Coast went down because when when a squirrel eats through a wire at a transformer in one place and that power goes out and there's this cascade, and we've seen it happen in the West Coast as well more recently, And so you could quite strategically kind of attack different electrical providers. I'm using this as an example, not trying to give a blueprint to anybody. I'm not saying anything that's already, not well known. I'll tell you how I know it's well known. And you could strategically, you could knock out our grid with a concerted cyber warfare attack, a computer hacking attack. And the reason we know that this is on somebody's mind is because we have discovered in a variety of electrical companies across the nation malware, apparently state-sponsored malware, just sitting there probing, waiting. This is one of the things you do. This is what North Korea did to Sony Pictures Entertainment. If you look at the timeline of the Sony hack, it started months before anything became public. It started in May of last year with malware sent via an email. And employees fell for it. We call this spear phishing. You've heard of phishing attacks, which are kind of general emails that are sent out hoping to, cast a wide net and catch a few flounder. But spear phishing is targeted at a company. It can be very effective because if you know who you're aiming at, you can make sure that fake email comes from the boss, for instance, right, or a coworker, or interdepartmental. You can make it pretty convincing email that can get somebody to jump and do things like install malware by accident. We've seen it happen. And then what happened, and I'm going to have to take the federal intelligence community's word on this. They say it was the North Koreans, and they say what happened is once they got access to the network, they spent months prowling it, undetected, wandering around, looking at stuff, figuring out what the structure was, where the data was. And it wasn't until 6 months later that they, and perhaps with the help of an insider, we're not sure still. This is what, now a year or two ago, and we still don't know. Perhaps with the help of an insider, dump all the server data, everything, and then strategically release embarrassing emails and things like that, and almost put Sony Pictures Entertainment out of business. It really cost a lot of people their jobs, including the president. So we now know, for instance, that this is kind of what happened to the Democratic National Committee. Fake Gmail emails were sent saying you need to log back into your Gmail account, and they had a phony Gmail login page. Now, by the way, this won't work against you because you're smart, right? And you've run the security check on Gmail. Apparently nobody at the DNC did. You've run the security check at Gmail. You've gone through the steps, and you've secured your account, right? You've turned on two-factor authentication, right? Had they done that, wouldn't even matter if you accidentally logged into your Gmail account on on some Russian hacker's site. Wouldn't matter because they wouldn't have the second factor. They'd have to go an extra step, a much more difficult step to get in. So if basic security procedures are followed, this is harder to do. But, frankly, we're all like just children wandering in the wilderness, and an email came from the boss. I better open it. Oh, I got to log into my Gmail account. That didn't work. Oh well. Another day at the office. I'm just going to go home. And of course, then the bad guys are in, snoop around, download as much as they can, send it to WikiLeaks, and the rest is history. Literally could be history, right? Ain't no one got time for two-factor authorization, says Solid Pixel in our chat room. No one got time for that. Make time. Make time. Meanwhile, so this kind of snooping is going on inside our electrical infrastructure, and I imagine other infrastructure, water and gas and so forth. It's really kind of a mess. It's not well secured. The policies are different. The federal government is trying to help these local electrical companies do the right thing, secure, update, run better systems. You know what else is vulnerable, and it really is scary? Hospitals. Under no circumstances would you think should for instance, X-ray machine be hooked up to the public internet, except it's very common. And of course, these X-ray machines, they're running computers, and they're often running fairly old software like Windows XP. and it's too expensive and too complicated, and frankly, it ain't broke, don't fix it. Nobody's updating these things. It's all working. We're not going to, this Windows 7, I don't know, man, maybe we shouldn't. And so as a result, you've got these medical devices connected to the public internet where they're very vulnerable. So let's not get engaged in this cyber warfare, maybe, This could be terrible. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You're out. I'm just saying. Thank you. I'm just saying. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. You'll be calling Kim Schaffer, who is right now prepared. What are you laughing at?
I'm not on the phone this week.
You're not on the phone?
No.
Oh, I went to yeah, we shouldn't say anything. I went to her on the phone last week. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
You were talking, you were doing your job. It's my fault. My fault. But you have, I see, been lining up because I can see I have a magic transducer here in the studio.
A transducer.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look that one up.
I just made that up. What do they call, when you're in the train station and they have those big boards, like an annunciator? I guess it's an annunciator, but not the digital ones, with every once in a while they crash and you get the blue screen of death and you see windows. I mean the physical ones where they go, they have little flaps.
We have one of those in the San Francisco Ferry Building.
Love
those. They refurbished the old one.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, now you can see all the different boat times, and you hear them as you're walking by.
It's so cool.
Very cool.
They used to have that at Grand Central Station. I think they replaced it with a digital thing.
Like everything else.
What is it? Is it an annunciator? I'm going to say it's an annunciator. So I see on my annunciator, we have some calls here.
Yes, we do.
6 wonderful geeks.
Full up.
Full up. Who should I start with?
The first one, you're gonna spend Brian in Winter Haven, Florida's money.
I love to do that.
Yes, well, he does too.
Yeah.
You
Thank
called
you,
the right
Kim.
place.
Thank you, Kim. Hey, Brian, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Welcome.
Thanks for taking
Isn't Winter Haven where the circus goes when it's not touring?
You've asked me that before. It's actually because I've called before. It seems like that it's a little bit south of Tampa is where the circus
I thought the
goes.
Ringling Brothers Circus wintered in Winter Haven. Isn't that why they call it Winter Haven? Maybe not.
No.
I'm an old man. It probably was back in P.T. Barnum's day. Oh, yeah, I remember.
Well, they have the Ringling Museum in Sarasota.
Well, maybe they go there instead. And I apologize for being so repetitive. I didn't realize I'd asked you that before. Now, I have very limited shtick, you understand. If you listen to this show, you call me enough. If you listen to the show long enough, you'll hear it all. Then it'll be just like reruns.
But it's all good, though.
Yeah.
It's all interesting.
How about
even the rerun?
Don't you have minor league baseball teams or like spring training is in Winter Haven, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All over this area.
Because it's a haven from the winter.
That's right. And we didn't get much. We were pretty much havened from the big storm too.
Yes, congratulations. That's a relief. We had our own up here in the Pacific Northwest. We were ready for. The weather folks were calling it the worst storm in recorded history. They expected 2 feet of rain in some areas in one day. They expected winds up to 60 or 70 miles an hour, hurricane force. That's a typhoon in effect, and it didn't happen. And they're all embarrassed. They said, but all our models said it was supposed to happen. You would think in this day and age, but it just shows you how complicated weather is. It's still not a perfect.
We only got 2 inches of rain and not even enough wind to fly a kite.
Yeah. Weather. What can you do? So I'm sorry, I've been distracting from our purpose here, which is to help you spend money.
Yes. So I'm building a new house, and I've decided to put in like a little home theater area. And I've decided that I'm going to go with a regular projection, not a short throw.
Okay.
I had a guy come up and look in my house a little bit.
If you have enough depth, if you have somewhere you can put that projector in the back of the room, it is always a better way to do it.
Yep. So that's what we're going to do there. And then I want to get an AV receiver and I want to get 7.1 surround sound, and I want to. He recommends a flat screen, one that like comes in a kit that unfolds with frames on it, rather than a pull down.
Why does he recommend that? That
screen.
seems like a pain in the behind.
He says it's much better quality.
I don't know if that's true. I would imagine you get the same material in a. I got a projection screen that had an electric remote, and that, by the way, very impressive. When you press the button, it goes zzz, and I don't see why that would be somehow worse. In fact, I think it'd be better. Wouldn't you have creases in the fold-up screen?
Well, apparently it never folds up. I mean, you frame it to the wall.
Oh, you mean a permanent screen?
Yeah, permanent screen.
Well, yeah, I could see. Okay.
It comes like in with a frame that expands or something.
I get it.
Already connected to it.
But you never take it down. It's always up.
No, you never take it down.
Yeah. Okay. All right. He's the expert. I'm not. I mean, this guy obviously is a home theater installer, knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, but he wants me to spend $10,000.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. He knows what he's talking. He knows his business. Yes, that means he knows his business. Yes.
So I want budget. I want some budget.
That's budget, by the way. Can I tell you something? That's not a bad price because projectors, a really good projector. If you go to a Oscar-winning director's house, as I have been, you could see these Runco projectors, which are $50,000 and up for the projector. So, right. So $10,000 is how much of that? What projector did he recommend?
He said an Optima or an Epson.
Yeah, Epson's good. Optima's good. Those are lower cost, so he's not steering you towards a very, very expensive projector.
Right.
But I bet the bulk of the $10,000 probably is $5,000 or $6,000 is the projector, right?
There's installation, and then there's the speakers and AV system. I just want to kind of get your thoughts on some middle range things that are a decent bang for the buck.
Well, start with the projector, really, because the sound can be the same as you would use for a direct view TV, which is, I use a Denon receiver. I think they're very good. They're not hugely expensive. An AV receiver. And then, speakers are, depending on how much you want to spend, anything from, you're going to have, you could do 5.1 or 7.1. The 0.1 is, of course, the subwoofer. A lot of good systems have two subwoofers. But all of these are things that, budget will constrain. But a Denon receiver and a decent 5.1 speaker system is probably not going to set you back more than a couple of $1,000. Maybe $3,000. Depends on the speakers. You can go out and get very expensive B&O speakers. One speaker will cost you $10,000. Or you can get Polk Audio, which is very good. I have a couple of American manufacturers that I've bought their speakers, and I've liked them quite a bit. The speakers are the thing that's kind of the most subjective. But start with the TV. Start with the TV.
Brand you can recommend?
Say again?
You got a good budget brand you can recommend?
Yeah, I do. I have a couple. I'll tell you. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm gonna. After we come back from the break, we got to take a break in 30 seconds. I will tell you the two speaker systems I use, both made in the U.S. and very nice sound. But you can go on and on and on that thing. I like the Epson projectors. Epson's a sponsor, but that's what I use. You can go to Monoprice and get a pretty good screen for less than getting a fancy screen. And you know what? You can install it yourself. I see that's going to be, a lot of the money is going to be installing it yourself. We should get Scott Wilkinson in on this one. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You're out. Thank you. So what were the names? Boy, my brain is going. I bought them a few years ago. But everybody has their own, B&Ws are excellent. Klipsch, they have a kind of distinctive sound. It's very subjective on the speakers. But what I got were, I think, fairly clean. I'm going to have to do some research, though, to try to remember the name. And I'm not I'm not a speaker expert either, so but I think there's some good speakers made in the US. I do. Do you guys remember? I've mentioned them before. They're like made in Kentucky. Is it Epiphone? I'm good. Thank you, Mario. Yeah. No, Epiphone's makes musical instruments. Is it not Oratone? Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, we mentioned the Andrew Jones. It wasn't Klipsch. It wasn't Jensen. It wasn't a big name like that. It was a smaller. There are two different companies I've purchased, both of which I've been very happy with. And I think it was Scott Wilkinson. Yeah, the Andrew. So that's a very affordable. The Andrew, but he was talking about a soundbar system, which I don't really recommend. Yeah, you can look in the chat room and you're going to get 100 different recommendations because everybody has their own favorite speaker system. Probably the best thing to do is to go to AVS Forum and read the speaker reviews. They've got some really good reviews there, or somewhere. It might have been Eminence. Gosh, I cannot remember. But look at the reviews here on. They have a lot of Paradigm, Golden Ear Super Sub, Klipsch. Problem is, all of these you read them and you go, "Oh, I want those." They like these new KEFs. This is probably a pretty good choice. The KEFs have always been good. Mark Henninger, who does the reviews, is quite good. And this is an Atmos system, which is kind of interesting. $8,900 for the speaker system. Never mind. Yes, so it's a Flip-O-Matic or a split-flap display. That's right. Thank you, Emotiva. Thank you, 68. That's it. That's the ones. Really like my Emotivas. And there was another one too, but these are very good. And they also make hardware as well, amps and preamps. I've been very happy with these, and they have in the speaker systems. They have a range of. Let's see, where's the speakers? Here we go. Well, you know what? It looks like they've really stripped down their loudspeakers. I don't know these Airmotive. But see, very reasonable. Here's a 7-channel bundle, $1,400. Much more reasonable, right? And they're made in the U.S. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, chat room. The chat room remembered, fortunately, what I had forgotten, which was the American-made speakers I just really liked from a little company. I feel like they're in Kentucky. I can't remember exactly. Called Emotiva, Emotiva. I like the company. I like their hardware, their amps, and they make home theater systems, and they make very affordable, but I think high-quality audio products. For instance, the speaker system that they're currently selling, the Airmotive 7.1 system. So that's 2 towers left and right, a center channel, 4 surrounds. You'd want to add a sub to that. $1,400 for all those speakers. That's $200 a speaker. Good price, and they sound great. And then you add a sub. But they have bookshelf speakers. That's the other thing is you've got to consider, what we used to call the spousal acceptance factor. If you get a room all to yourself that, this is the home theater, you do whatever you want, then get big speakers, right? But if it's the living room, you might want to, be a little bit judicious about how you take over the place. I think you could probably get by. $10,000 is actually for the whole kit and caboodle, the projector, the AV receiver, the speakers, the screen, and installation is not a bad price. But you ask 20 people for a speaker recommendation, and you'll get 20 recommendations. Everybody has their favorite. In fact, we've been talking in the chat room, and there have been so many recommendations. It's probably a good idea to read the reviews. Our friend Scott Wilkinson's website, avsforum.com, has some great speaker reviews and audio reviews from Mark Henninger. He does a great job. He likes those KEFs, but those are $9,000 for a surround system. Scott's often recommended the Andrew Jones designed Pioneer soundbar. I'm not a soundbar fan. And if you're doing a home theater, you have the luxury of having more, speakers. Soundbar is really designed for people who don't want speakers all around. They don't want the wiring. They want it simplified. And you sacrifice a little bit of separation, a lot of quality because they're small. But it's all, as I said, subjective. It's all very much a personal choice. Like the Epson Cinema projectors, and they have a range, so you can start at $1,000. You can go up a lot higher. You can then you can need to get a screen. I got a great screen at Monoprice. I think it's bright, it's good, it's high quality, and it's automatic, so you can keep it rolled up, press a button, and have it drop down. If you have the luxury of keeping it set up all the time, well, then by all means. Permanent speaker. Home theater is one of those things you can spend a lot of money on. Oh, and we didn't even mention the TV, did we? I forgot the TV. I guess the projectors are good enough. You don't want a direct view to TV in there. You can just stay with a projector, but you're going to have to be able to darken that room, right? AV receivers, as I mentioned, I like Denon, but I'm not a super high end guy. I'm not. Thank you for the call, Brian. Bonnie in Compton, California. Hi, Bonnie. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo, my favorite tech guy.
We were talking to Marilyn in Compton yesterday. She was frustrated by the lack of choice in internet service providers.
And that is exactly why I'm calling. She was a little bit misinformed about the internet options here.
Good.
Compton pretty much offers everything that you would find in any other major city. We have AT&T, Dish Network, Time Warner, which is now Spectrum. And in fact, she can get a great deal with Spectrum now. She can get like 100 megabytes a second for $29.99.
Oh, that's a great deal.
No unlimited, no caps.
Is that what you have?
Yeah, well, I have 200 megabytes.
Why not? So, yeah. But Bonnie, and this is what I always tell people when they ask, even if a company's great in one city, it's not necessarily great in the other. You got to ask your neighbors. So here you are, you're Marilyn's neighbor, and you have Spectrum. How's it been? Has the service been good? Has the speed been consistent? Things like that.
Yes, actually, some of the channels have improved. Like we didn't have HD in certain things when Time Warner was running things. And the day that Spectrum took over, everything is pretty much in HD now. The speed is very, very good.
And consistent.
Yes.
Doesn't slow down. See, sometimes especially with cable providers, you sometimes at night when everybody's watching Netflix, it can slow down. The neighborhood can slow down. You don't experience that?
A little bit, but I'm a bit of a geek, so I have a really nice router.
and you have 200 megabits.
Yeah, I have a very nice router, so I think that makes a difference as well. But a little bit of a slowdown, but not enough for me to really notice. But most of my neighbors have AT&T, which they love. I don't really care for AT&T, but
yeah, DSL is usually a little more. It's capped at a lower speed, unfortunately.
Exactly.
And it has a lot to do with how far away the phone office is from your home. So cable can usually overcome that. And for that $29, I think you have to get the triple play, right?
No, that's just straight. It's a limited offer because they're new. Because they have just
they're trying to.
I think
and
it's
of
only
course,
been like a week or 2 weeks. The Spectrum has taken over in this neighborhood.
Good, Marilyn, get Hy-Vee to Spectrum. It sounds good.
Yeah, Marilyn she needs to jump on that right away because there's no band caps and it's also unlimited.
They don't cap it? Wow.
Not at all.
That's something that's a little frustrating. Comcast is now they've upped their caps. They started at 250 gigabytes. Now they're up to a terabyte. But I think caps are a scam, basically. I don't think.
I saw that and it made me nervous, and I said, "Oh wow, when?"
Well, there's no guarantee, right? Spectrum in a year, when your special $29 a month deal disappears, It may go up a lot. But this is why really the solution to all this is competition. The more choices you have, the less likely you're going to see shenanigans from any one provider.
Yeah, so she has two other choices besides the satellite, which is the worst, like you told her yesterday.
Yeah. Good. Marilyn, I hope you're listening.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Thank you, Bonnie, for setting that straight. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, take care. Yeah, that sounds good. 8888 Ask Leo. This is why, see, we all get together. We help each other out. That's the whole idea of this show. Jason, Cooper, Texas. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
How are you?
Doing good.
Good.
I'm a longtime fan of yours, and congratulations on the new studio.
Thank you. You got to come up and visit us sometime.
I also purchased the cup and the T-shirt. Also,
you got the merch. We do. You know, we don't mark those up much. We get them through Teespring, and we mark them up a little bit to cover kind of costs of administration. But the idea, really, we're not trying to make money on the merch. We just want to. If people want to have a cup, they can have a cup. It's nice to have. I like having a Twit cup. That's our podcast network. So, what can I do for you now that you've established your bona fides?
How to change a YouTube channel name?
Oh, so you don't like your name? Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yes.
And you made up the name when you were young and you needed the money, and now you got to change that channel name. I don't know how to change a YouTube channel name. If your channel is connected to Google Plus, says Google, you can change it. You sign into your channel on YouTube, open the guide, click My Channel, point your cursor at your channel name, and click the pencil icon. Do you see a pencil icon next to your channel name? That means it's editable. Now, there's a limit to how many times you can do that. YouTube doesn't let you do it forever. But apparently, this technique is still working. So, I'll put a link in the show notes to this answer. Because they do. I didn't realize. I had no idea. They do let you do it 3 times. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number, if you want to talk about computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that stuff. Anything with a chip in it. Jim, Santa Barbara, Leo Laporte. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Leo. I've got a LG phone from Boost Mobile, and every couple of weeks, it says the storage is full, which causes problems. So I'll go to settings, open storage, and
let me guess. Is it have 8 gigabytes of storage on it?
Yeah,
that's just ridiculous.
2.5 gigabytes of storage taken up by Google Play services.
Yeah. No company. This is a cheap phone or a free phone, obviously.
Yeah.
So nobody should sell an 8 gigabyte phone. Because, as you point out, the Android itself takes up several gigabytes, and so you have no room for apps, let alone a song or two. So they sell these phones as the only, because they're cheap. They can give them away, but and the one way they save money. I understand. Yeah, but there's no magic.
I'll delete that storage that they're using, and
no, you can't. That's the operating system.
Well, I'm able to delete, empty the storage there. And
there may be some there's temp files and stuff like that, but the problem is that there's very scant storage on that phone. So what you can do in the settings, there's a storage item, and you can see what's taking up space, and uninstall any apps that you don't need, uninstall any music. If you're taking pictures, you're going to have to erase those on a regular basis. What I would suggest, there is one app you probably should have, which is Google's Photos app. It will upload those photos free, and you have unlimited free storage, and then you can tell it and delete this. Once you back it up, delete it. So at least you could take a picture. It'll be saved on the internet, and you can look at it again on your computer or even in the Google Photos app as a thumbnail, but it will save a lot of space. If you can add an SD card to that, of course, that'll help. Then you can put some apps, not all, but some apps on the SD card. Typically, you can put any app that doesn't have a widget, a desktop widget, as a part of the app, which a lot of apps do, unfortunately. It breaks the widget functionality to put it on the SD card. And certainly you should put all data on there, including media, music, movies, TV shows, and photos and videos. If you don't have an SD card slot, you're really kind of, all you can do is periodically delete stuff. What's happening is as you use the phone, it's saving stuff, temporary stuff, like all browsers, for instance, save cached data to speed up browsing. So because we tend to go to the same site over and over again, it's going to save pictures on a website so that it doesn't have to download them. It'll just pull it up from the cache. That's what a cache is. A computer cache is actually quite a clever idea, storing stuff locally so you don't have to pull it down over the network. And so as you use the browser, that cache starts to fill up. You probably can go into your browser settings, your Chrome settings, and reduce the size of the cache. Make it a couple of megabytes. Shouldn't be more than that. You may also find that it's storing, and this is what you can delete, temp files, but you can't delete Android. And that's going to be a couple of gigabytes at least on your 8 gigabyte storage. So I feel for you, but in my opinion, companies are not doing their users any favors by selling these phones. And frankly, the difference between an 8 gigabyte and a 16 gigabyte storage phone, this is not RAM we're talking about storage, is small. It really isn't big, but a free phone or a very, very cheap phone, that's one of the ways they can make it that way. I'm sorry. I just don't, it's physics. You've got a bucket and the bucket is mostly full. You can, keep tipping the bucket out, but there's only a limited amount of stuff you can get rid of, and you're going to have to continue to do that. Reduce the cache size as much as you can. I guess on your browser, that's probably the best thing you can do. Mark in Santa Ana. Hey, Mark. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking my call, and thanks for doing the low-carb thing.
Oh, yeah. Did you try that?
Oh, yeah. In fact, not this morning because I went out with my son and we had 2 burgers yesterday. But before that, even though I've already lost almost 60 pounds, in the previous 4 days, I lost a pound a day.
Well, see, this is, I'm not a doctor and I'm not going to recommend a diet to anybody. But I think it's pretty clear at this point that the USDA and the federal government went very, very wrong about 30 years ago when they started to blame fats for our fat instead of carbs. And people started going on these low-fat diets and started eating a lot of carbs, and we have a national obesity epidemic. It does seem like cause and effect. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. But a lot of people have really noticed a big benefit by eliminating or strictly reducing the carbs in their diet. It seems like the carbs are really the danger here. Anyway, but that's not what this show's about. But I'm glad it's working for you.
I wanted to say thank you because I've been doing that and listening to some other health podcasts, and my skin is bouncing back properly as I'm losing weight, even though I'm losing fast, so it's awesome.
That's really great.
But the thing is that I have 2 questions. One is about a good keyboard for an Android phone that has cursor keys, and the other one is I've had a couple of customers who've had file loss. We have Carbonite, we have retrospect backup, but it happened a year ago, and of course, 30 days after you delete it, Carbonite deletes it. 6 weeks after the backups will groom themselves, and I would like a program that gives me a report every day of what files have been deleted, because if they're deep dark in the part of pictures or in my documents, people aren't monitoring them.
Well, this is there's a fundamental issue with backup that I really want to underscore. People say, oh, it's backed up, and delete the original. Then it's not a backup anymore. Then it's the original, wherever it's stored, even if it's on a drive that says backup or if it's on Carbonite. So Carbonite will not delete a file if you don't delete it locally. And that's why they give you 30 days. So the key is to remember a backup is your second, or better yet, third copy of the original. Don't delete the original. And you can't blame Carbonite for deleting the original. They wait 30 days or sometimes longer, but you can't blame them for deleting the original because you deleted it, so they figure, oh, he doesn't need that anymore. Backup means a second copy of something you want, not the only copy. So I don't know of a program, and maybe Carbonite, I would call Carbonite if it knows of a way to alert you as stuff gets deleted. But, if you had a fire, presumably the Carbonite backup stopped, so nothing should be deleted.
Right. No, what the problem was is like in this case, the woman had some Bernina sewing or embroidery files, but they haven't used it in a year or so, and everything from everything else is there, but for some reason, everything from the base directory of these quilts files is just gone.
Call Carbonite. They have backups. I think they could probably get that back for you. I would call them. I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, I mean, but really, I want to underscore that but delete, even if you're backing up to a thumb drive, don't delete the original. No, please. And I'll get to your first question, a keyboard, and when we come back, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You're out. You have photos of vintage lunch pails? Wow. Low tech is low tech. Oh, our show today brought to you by a Ring, the Ring video doorbell. I do love my Ring. I use it all the time. We have a Ring on the front door. So this is one of those Internet of Things things that I really love. Really works for me. So here's the idea: you replace your doorbell on your front door. You know, if you have an unwired doorbell, you can use the original Ring. If you have a wired doorbell, you don't need the original Ring. You can use the new one, which is a little slimmer. And the reason is this has a battery. This is actually kind of cool. This will work even if you don't have wired doorbells, because this has a lithium-ion battery that's good for a year. It even comes with a USB cable, so every year you take it off, you charge it. But the point of this is, it's a doorbell. It rings the doorbell in your house. I actually installed it myself. I'm very proud of this because I'm not a handy guy. But look, it comes with everything you need. There's the drill bit if you needed to. I didn't need to do any drilling. If you have a wired doorbell, usually it's just 2 screws. You take those off. The thing's hanging by the wires. There's 2 wires coming out of your door jamb. This is actually a much cleaner installation. You put this on top of it, and then you trim the wires and you put them on the terminals here, and then the Ring gets attached to that. So it's a very clean installation. They even have a level in here. You make sure it looks nice. They've got the special, the screwdriver has a regular Phillips bit, but it also has this special Torx bit. They use that to tighten down the Ring so that somebody can't just come along with a screwdriver and unscrew it. You have to have a special screwdriver bit to do it. Now, so literally, it's half an hour. It took me a little longer because I had watched all the videos and really wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing when I did it. So what do you get? Well, now this is the doorbell. Same old thing, right? Rings the doorbell in the house and stuff. But look, it's got a camera, nice wide-angle camera on that sees the whole front of the house, and a speaker and a microphone. And then you pair it to your Wi-Fi. So now my doorbell's connected to the internet. When somebody rings my doorbell at home, it rings my phone, it rings my computer. They've got Windows and Mac software. And I can then go, okay, I can see who's there. It also has motion detector, so they don't even have to ring the doorbell. You can set it up so it notifies you when anybody's in front. And you set how sensitive it is. It's actually really cool. The software is really cool. And then, once you do all that, you can talk to them. So they ring your doorbell. You go, yeah, what is it? I got a package. I'm in bed. Just leave it there. I'm not in bed. I'm at work. They don't know that. I could be anywhere in the world. I was answering my doorbell from Russia using the Ring video doorbell. It's awesome. Plus, you could see who comes and goes. We had house sitters. I could see when they arrive, when they leave. I could see if they actually are doing it, when they walk the dog. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I want you to go to ring.com/techguy. They have more than just this. They have the original Ring, the new Ring Pro. They have the Chime, which is awesome for extending your reach of your doorbell. You can put the Chime anywhere that you can't hear the doorbell. Just plug it into the wall, and the Ring will ring it too. They also have... what they've done is they've taken the doorbell off, and they just got the camera, the stick-up cam. So it's got the camera, the microphone, and the speaker, and you can put that anywhere that the Ring can't see. So you can see the sides of the house, and you can even buy a solar panel to keep it charged, so you don't need any wires at all. It's really a great solution, and it really works. I love it. Go to ring.com/techguy and take a look at the Ring of Security kits with a variety of different packages, the Chime, and with every kit, by the way, you get the lighted sign, the Ring Security sign, so you're letting the bad guys know. And this is cool because it's got solar panels on it, so it lights up at night. And the bad guys go, oh, no, I don't know what it is, but I'm staying away. Security, surveillance, not going near that house. Save up to $150 on the Ring package of your choice. Ring.com/techguy. Ring, R-I-N-G, android.com/techguy. It's like caller ID for your house. I love it. And think about it for your parents, if you have older parents, other family members who are maybe, my mom's a little skittish, about people coming up the front walk. She can now see it without even getting up. By the way, all the kits include a Ring video doorbell, and you get the security sign. So put this in her front yard. She can see who's coming up at the door. It's awesome. Ring.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, virtual reality, autonomous vehicles, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Before the break, Mark in Santa Ana wanted to know about keyboards for Android. It's the same for Android and iOS. Both phones support Bluetooth. So any keyboard, a Bluetooth keyboard will work. It's a little trickier if you wanted a wired keyboard to work. In some cases it would. You'd need a special kind of USB connector to do it, and your phone would have to support something called USB to go. Just do it wireless. And you get to pick any kind of wireless keyboard you want. You can get a full-size Logitech wireless keyboard. Any Bluetooth keyboard will work with an Android phone. And, of course, there are a lot of little keyboards. There are even fold-up keyboards. The idea being, well, let's make this at least a little bit more portable. I've even seen rubber keyboards that you roll up. And the weirdest ones, there are projector keyboards. In fact, for a while, people thought, maybe we'll build this into the phone. So you'd put the phone on a stand, and it would project through a beam, I guess, on the top of the phone, a keyboard onto your desk in front of you, and you type on these lighted, just lights on the. And I've tried it; it works. It's weird. My best recommendation is to look at Bluetooth keyboards, and as I said, there are a variety of them. Targus used to make, I think they still do. Let me see, a fold-up Bluetooth keyboard designed for phones. That worked quite well. Targus. I still have my fold-up Targus keyboard somewhere. And the idea, again, you can carry it in your backpack, your purse, your wallet. Not your wallet, unless you have a really big wallet. It's about the size of your wallet. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Moving on to Laura. Is it Lori? Yeah, Lori in Napa. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
I'm really glad I made it onto the transducer or wherever I'm sitting right now.
We've decided now, by the way, it's funny, the chat room loves this kind of challenge. They've done some research, and they've decided it's called a flip-o-matic. So
a flip-o-matic.
You're on the flip-o-matic right now, yeah.
Oh, I'm on the flip-o-matic, right. That's bad.
I always wanted, and I almost did it in our last studio, a pneumatic tube system they used to have at department stores. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember that? You'd buy something and
at the banks. They had
the banks still have them sometimes at the drive-up. And they put your check in this capsule, and they put it in the tube. It goes, it gets sucked up into space.
Now that's really interesting in view of the fact that now we can just take a picture of our check. And
I know, isn't that awesome?
Talk about opposite ends of the spectrum.
I do that, by the way. I love it. My bank is kind of a virtual bank, USAA. They don't have any branches. I just take pictures, and it seems strange, but you know what? That's how the clearinghouse works nowadays too. They just scan the check in. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yep.
So my magic question for you today, Obi-Wan Kenobi, help me, is I'm wanting to move my TV to the opposite wall of where the cable comes in.
Yes.
So that is going to require about a 30-foot cord, which I would like to run along the baseboard. And I'm wondering, what is the... Oh, no, what?
No, just ugh.
Oh, okay.
Right, because it's, it's ugly. But you can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, will it result in degradation of
So
signal?
we're gonna have to do it. We can't just take a long HDMI cable. Would it be HDMI that you would do that with, or is it
the coax?
Oh, it's the cable coax.
From the cable.
Oh yeah, you can make that as long as you want.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I know with the HDMI you can't, but
right. Well, you can, but it degrades the signal. Coax is RF and is designed. I mean, if you think about it, it's coming out of the either the street or the telephone pole into your house via the coax, and then running through the house and then coming out at the TV, adding a few feet there. No big deal.
Right. Okay.
The real key is if you put splitters on it, to use high quality splitters, because you got to be careful not to degrade it too much. But there's extra juice.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to avoid, is using a splitter. So I thought, if I got a 30-foot one, then I wouldn't have to use any splitters.
Yeah, use good cable or good splitters when you do that kind of thing. You should have no trouble with that. It's already
coax is better than composite or component.
Well, I'm presuming the coax is going to be your cable, your television cable, right? And it's going to go all the way into your set-top box at the other side of the room, right?
Right.
Yeah. So at that point, it's getting all the data that's being sent by the cable company into your set-top box, and then it decodes it to HDMI. And so you don't worry about composite or component at this point. You're getting cable RF.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, it's coax.
And
it's
then,
fine.
does it matter if I see there are some mini ones on here, there are some flat ones on here?
Yeah, flat so you can run it under the carpet.
Uh-huh. In this case, it would be around the baseboard. I didn't know if that would,
you want
round ones.
Low resistance is the idea. In our chat room, Sybil's saying RG59. Okay, RG59. So they rate coax by resistance and how much, which is in other words how much loss you have over distance. Now wait a minute. Now somebody's saying RG6. I don't know.
That's what I'm seeing, RG6 and RG8X, and so I'm not.
Yeah,
I haven't seen them with the RG59.
RG6 is thicker, hence not so bendy, right? So RG is how they designate cable, and there is RG59. There is such a thing. So. I think the easiest way to say this is you want it to be long throw. RG6 is probably what the cable company used when they installed it. Those are 50 ohm coaxes. I think you probably do want the RG59, which is 75 ohms. So actually RG6, RG59, or RG11 are all 75 ohm. That will be better for you.
Okay.
And they're different sizes. So RG59 is going to be thinner and easier to staple to the baseboard.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
RG11 and then the 75 ohm. Okay, good. That answers.
That's what you're really looking for, is 75 ohm, in my opinion. And then, of course, they have different shielding, different. It's complicated. It's really complicated. Yeah. I am looking at a site called bluejeanscable.com that describes all of the different kinds of cable. You can even buy the cables there. So it has recommendations. And instead of buying it from your Home Depot, buying it as somewhere that specializes in cable, you'll probably see a better price. You can really spend a lot of money.
Well, I would rather not.
Yeah. So I think the chat room has converged on RG6 being the right choice.
RG6 being the right, rather than the 11. Okay.
Yeah.
And still 75 ohm if it comes in RG6?
Yeah, RG6 is 75 ohm, and then the more expensive is going to have better shielding, which you probably want as well. And try to stay away from power cords and things like that. If you notice noise on it, then there's like transformers, like the big things you plug your laptop into, are noisy. So try to stay away from that kind of stuff.
Okay.
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 Yeah. Hey, this sounds like a fun project on a rainy Sunday afternoon in Napa.
On a nice rainy, horrendous storm we had, huh?
Yeah, but we needed. This is what you say in California. But we needed the water, and we did. I'm sure the grapes are loving it around your neck of the woods. Hey, thanks for the call. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. Back to the phones we go. Douglas, Long Island. Hi, Douglas.
Hey,
Welcome.
Leo, how are you?
I'm great. Welcome.
Thank you. You know, I want to start off by thanking you for a real wonderful program. You know, last month you showed the interview, a triangulation with Alan Cooper.
Oh, it was fun, wasn't it? Alan's quite a character.
Wow, it was really
father of Visual Basic, but it's very thought-provoking, wasn't he?
Absolutely. I love how he talks about building solutions versus sort of building products. You know, keeping the desire of the end user in mind.
Well, that's what I loved about Alan. Alan's a local guy, so we see him from time to time socially. But what I love about Alan is he's focused on user interface. And a lot of computer engineers are very, very competent, very good, making great software. But they're engineers, and they kind of understand how computers work in a way that's very different from regular people. And so it's nice to have somebody like Alan, who is an engineer by training, but spend some energy thinking about how do normal people use technology and how to make it more accessible for normal people. And I think really more of that should happen. I really do.
Right. Like unlike Apple, who gives us an update, and I always end up having a product that I don't want at the end.
Yeah. Thank you. Apple, it's sad because Apple really was, you know, from the very beginning, all about making computers accessible, computers for the rest of us, and really focused on usability. And I don't know if they lost their way or stuff got too complicated or what happened. But while they still make beautiful hardware, their software has declined in usability. And it's kind of, it is a shame. But you know what? They're not doing any worse than anybody else. All of them are uniformly. I can't think of anything. It's rare. I mean, occasionally, some iPhone apps, for instance, are really paragons of usability. Some of the apps are. But it's rare to see a company that makes something that's usable. It's because engineers design this stuff for engineers.
Well, you know, I'm going to keep designing a new product, an online product using VR, and I have to keep those tips and those suggestions in mind. That I want to build this solution. That's what I want to do.
Nice.
In lack of better words. But anyway, I really want to thank you for the great tips and tricks and suggestions. You know, I know, you know, you're an old timer. You know, you remember you mentioned the old VIC 20 and the programming at a computer magazine. That's like, wow, I remember that.
I am an old timer, that is for sure. Been doing this a long time.
Sure. And I'm so glad you got a replacement for your photo subject. You know?
Yeah, actually, this is going to be kind of fun. We're going to talk to a photographer. So normally we have Chris Marquardt on, and Chris emailed me right at the beginning of the show saying, I'm stuck on a train, and I don't think I'm going to make it in time for the show. So we called around, and we got Paul DeBourgeois, who's been on some of my other shows before. He is a professional photographer who specializes, get this, in hot air balloon photography. He's just back from the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. And we're going to talk about the challenges and maybe some tips for shooting these beautiful, colorful hot air balloons. So that's coming up in a minute. But what can I do for you?
Sure. I have an HP Pavilion semi-media system. It's an old doorstop. And it has the Intel Core Solo 1T1350.
Oh, it is old. All right, yep.
Yeah, and I'm looking to do something with it. I'm looking to put some type of maybe Linux system or...
Yeah.
I know there's Mint, Ubuntu, there's all different types.
Well, you know...
all different types of suggestions. With such a small...
I am a huge fan of Linux, by the way. Free operating system. You know, look, we're just talking about usability. Given that Windows and Macintosh are not particularly usable, why not use an operating system that's free? It's no more usable. I mean, and certainly people's complaint about Linux is, it's so complicated, hard to use. It isn't any worse than Windows or Mac, but it's no better either. I grant you that. But if you're going to learn a general purpose operating system, I think Linux is a very good choice. Now, it's a different set of applications. You can't get Microsoft Office on there. Well, you can with some support, but it's not an easy thing to do. But they have a huge range of applications. I'm a big fan. Now, the other nice thing about Linux, it was created in the early 90s by a graduate student, Linus Torvalds, in Finland. Mm-hmm. He kept the trademark, he kept the name. He said, nobody else can make a Linux without my approval. But he open sourced, he gave away the code, which means there's a lot of different groups, some companies, some communities that are building Linux operating systems. So there's hundreds to choose from. You can go to DistroWatch, D-I-S-T-R-O, that's what they call these distros or distributions of Linux, distrowatch.org, and see the most popular ones, see a list. But you have a special need, and this is often the case with Linux. You need Linux that'll run on old hardware, slow hardware. You probably don't have a lot of RAM.
No, only a gig.
Yeah, so you don't have a lot of storage. You have a slow processor. Most of the more popular modern Linuxes you mentioned, Mint, Ubuntu, are designed for modern machines because, well, they don't want to make an operating system that's, underpowered if you're going to be using a modern machine. So you're going to be looking for a distribution that's designed for older hardware, and there are lots of them. If you go to distrowatch.org, you can actually find that. You could find a distro. I would take a look. There is an Ubuntu variant. Ubuntu was created by a company called Canonical, which is funded by a .com millionaire named Mark Shuttleworth, they've really done a very accessible version of Linux. But the main Ubuntu is not going to run on your machine. But they have lower requirement Ubuntus. Probably you should take a look at Xubuntu. It's Xubuntu, xubuntu.org. That's designed for older machines, less RAM. Okay. There are a lot of other ones that I'm not familiar with. That's why I'm going to say look at DistroWatch, because I generally use the Linuxes on modern machines, so I use more powerful Linuxes like Ubuntu. My favorite version of Linux is I recommend most people is Debian. It might work. There might be a version of Debian for slower machines like yours. The reason I like Debian is, unlike Canonical, which is a private company, Debian is run by a community. And I just like the idea of using an operating system created by a community of like-minded individuals. It's the hippie in me.
No, I understand, absolutely.
But for that reason, it's better privacy, right? They certainly focus on security. I'm currently using a distribution called Antergos, A-N-T-E-R-G-O-S, on most of my machines. This is based on the Arch distribution with a very nice, easy installer to simplify that. And that's what I'm using right now on the machine that's in front of me. Arch. But Arch is for Linux pros. Arch is hard to install. So look at Antergos, which is a simplified installer, Antergos. Really my current favorite. But that works on all modern hardware. And one of the reasons I like it is I can take a laptop like the HP Spectre 13T, which is a brand new, beautiful laptop that it's hard to run Linux on because it's got all this new stuff, and Antergos runs beautifully on it. I think for you, Xubuntu is going to be a good choice.
Okay, great. I have a question for you.
Okay, hold on, because we've got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk photography, hot air balloon photography, and then I'll get your call after that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Ubuntu or Lubuntu is good. Puppy Linux is good. There's lots of variants. Hey, Paul.
Hello, Leo.
Thank you so much for doing this on short notice.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
Oh, I'm thrilled. There we go. And I have your pictures.
Okay.
And they're gorgeous.
Thanks.
And so I guess what I'll do is, as you're talking, now remember, it's a radio show, so the pictures are great for the people watching the video version of the podcast, but the vast majority of the audience is not looking, they're listening. So I guess what I would say is I'll show these and we can talk about them, but remember it's just describing an audio stuff, right? So you might talk about tips and tricks and what the challenges are of this. Boy, this is beautiful. Did this just end?
Yes, last weekend.
Wow. Are these the ballooniers? What do you call these people?
Colloquially, they're zebras, but they're launch directors. They actually manage the launch on field.
They're like the refs.
Exactly.
It's got to be crazy. I mean, look at all these balloons. You need launch directors because how many balloons at a time are going up?
At a time, probably 6 or 8, but they're in a line. And the biggest thing that the launch directors do is make sure that there's nobody above them so that they can go up safely.
Makes sense. Because once you go, you go.
Yeah, and the pilot can't see straight up.
Right. Yes, I got it. That's awesome. So he's kind of flying blind, isn't he? Wow. That's nice. These are beautiful images. So I mean, really, this segment is about kind of for just normal people talking about getting better pictures. So think of people who are using camera phones and point and shoots, and then what they might, I don't know, any tips that you have, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Boy, these are gorgeous. And we'll talk a little bit about the gear you use, and obviously you're in some cases in the air.
That's correct.
Do you ever use drones for this, or?
The private flights, sometimes they'll have a drone nearby, but the FAA doesn't allow drones in any of these organized events.
Makes sense. So you're in another balloon.
That's correct.
Wow. That's problematic too, because you can't move around. You're just wherever that balloon is, that's the shot you're going to get.
Exactly. So I sometimes select the pilot that I know knows how to fly that area.
Ah, smart man. How many years have you shot this?
This was my 8th year
Nice.
as official photographer.
Nice. All right. And it's I want to make sure I'm saying this right. It's De Bourgeois.
That's correct.
De Bourgeois. Paul D. De Bourgeois. And colorbandit.com is correct for your URL?
That's my website, yes.
All right. Nice. I'll show that too. This is nice. These are beautiful. Beautiful images. And I am using, this is good. I'm using the Linux image viewer, and it seems to be working great. I can just go right through them. Ah! All right, Paul, hold on a sec. Catherine Hall, thank you so much. I'm going to go in the chat room. Catherine Hall just dialed into the chat room. To volunteer, but we had already got Paul. Next time, Catherine, I don't know why we didn't call you too. I think we had just had Paul on the new screensavers, and so it just made sense. Chris Marquardt can't be with us this week. He sent me a note at the beginning of the show saying, I'm stuck on a train and I won't be home in time to do the show. But good news, we've got a fine replacement joining us right now. Paul D. de Bourgeois. He is the official photographer of the world-famous Albuquerque, New Mexico Balloon Festival, Hot Air Balloon Festival. Hi, Paul. How are you? Welcome.
Hi, Leo. Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good to talk to you again. And it's very timely because the festival was last weekend.
That's correct. It concluded last weekend.
It's so beautiful. And I've seen other, there's a very famous, in Turkey, there's a very famous place in Turkey where people go up in hot air balloons. And there's just something, it just lends itself to fun, beautiful, colorful photographs. Tell me how you're a professional photographer. Tell me how you got into this business.
Well, into hot air ballooning, there's a balloon event in my hometown, and I had just bought a new camera, and I was looking for anything to take pictures of. And so I went to that and started taking pictures of it. I entered a photo contest and just so happened to win first place with my first entry.
Nice.
Yeah, the next year I entered the same contest and won again. The third year I entered the contest and won again. And
wow.
The event organizer said, Paul, stop it.
You can't enter anymore.
Yeah, why don't you be our official photographer? And so I got into ballooning that way.
Oh, that's really great. So you are the official photographer of the Albuquerque Festival.
Right. There's a team of, this year there were 6 of us, but yeah, I'm one of the 6.
Tell me what you shoot with. These are beautiful images. And by the way, you can see Paul's images at colorbandit.com. That's his website.
Right. The Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta for the last 2 years has been sponsored by Canon.
So you don't have a choice.
That's correct. Canon is a great company to work with, and they make available anything that we want in their catalog.
So you're probably shooting with their very famous top-of-the-line DSLR, the 5D. Are you using a Mark IV?
I used the Mark III this year.
Okay.
I used 2 Mark III bodies.
That's the one that's been the standard for the last couple of years. They just came out with a Mark IV, so
yes,
you probably didn't want to take a chance with a new body and an unknown. Tell me what lenses you use for these.
Typically, for the shots before sunrise and after sunset, I'll use a f2.8 16 to 35.
The wide angle, and you want it to be pretty fast.
Yeah, it's f2.8, and then also the for my telephoto, if you will, the 24 to 70 2.8.
Oh, so it's not super telephoto.
No, but I handhold, and so that's about the longest focal length that I can go hand holding in really dark with slow shutter speeds.
That 24 to 70 is actually the kit lens that comes with the 5D Mark III.
Yeah, and then for daylight, I leave the wide angle 17 to 35 on one body, and on the second body, I switch over to the 28 to 300.
Oh, now you got everything. With such an extreme zoom, you still get good crisp images?
Yes, absolutely.
That's a big change, isn't it, in photography? They're able to make glass now that's an extreme zoom.
Yeah, well, I've always shot at f8 in the that seems to be the best balance of having a sharp picture across the frame, not just in the center, but even at the edges.
Right.
And so that lens performs really well at f8.
That's the street photographer's motto, right? F8 and be there. If you, because it's hard, you can't when you're street photography. You sometimes have to take a picture quickly. You don't have time to focus. Right. But if it's f8, pretty much everything is going to be in focus.
Good depth of field.
Good depth of field. Yeah, that's the tech. These are beautiful. So I guess what's the biggest challenge of taking these balloon photos in Albuquerque?
Probably finding composition, because there is so much to take a picture of, and yet you have to tell a story with the pictures.
Right.
And so it's really eliminating things that are distracting or not pertinent to the story you're trying to tell. Being able to just isolate those elements in your composition that will tell the story.
You also don't have a lot of control, because a lot of these shots, you're in a balloon yourself.
That's correct.
So you kind of have to compose using the zoom as much as anything else. You can't walk over. We're looking at a great shot. I'm looking at a great shot. You'll find it on his website, of very tight shot of 2 balloons, kind of a daisy smiley face balloon, and then a balloon that unaccountably has arms and an elbow and sunglasses, and it looks like the one balloon is elbowing the other balloon, and the other balloon's laughing. I mean, that's a great image.
Yeah, the balloon on the yellow balloon is Sunny Boy, and that's like a sun. And the balloon with the sunglasses is Lindy, made by the Lindstrand Balloon Company.
So they name the balloons too?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
The ones that I like the best are the early morning. I presume the sun hasn't come up yet, or it's just about to come up. And then the flames that are heating the hot air in these balloons pop out, and they're just gorgeous images. That's got to be fairly challenging, especially handheld.
It is, and that's one of the reasons that I stay wide angle, because you can go to a lower shutter speed and still handhold. Also, depth of field is greater in a wide angle lens than on a telephoto. So at f2.8, I can still get a really good depth of field with a 16 millimeter shot.
I'm looking at a beautiful sunrise image. The balloons are crystal clear because they're hardly moving, and the people are a little bit blurry below it as they move around. But I also notice most of them have a camera.
Yes.
So you got a lot of competition out there at the Fiesta.
I usually, people try not to get into each other's pictures, but I usually end up being in about 90,000 pictures a day, even though I try to stay out.
He's the guy with a bunch of cameras. So we're talking to Paul DeBourgeois, who is the official photographer, one of the official photographers for the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, which just ended last weekend in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And a lot of his beautiful shots are online at his website, colorbandit.com. What advice do you give to people who are not there with the super pro cameras to get some of these shots? These just kind of lend themselves so beautifully.
Most people are shooting with cell phones, and I do workshops where we exclusively talk about cell phone cameras. And again, it's the composition. I've seen well composed cell phone shots that tell a story that can beat, a $5,000 DSLR rig. It's really, what is the story I'm trying to tell? And I start my workshops off with this. Think of 3 or 4 or 5 one-word adjectives that you would use to describe the event. And this can pertain to any event, not just balloon. And so then, for example, in Albuquerque, massive, colorful, bright, loud. And so once you have those one-word adjectives, then think of what is the kind of picture that I want to take that expresses those one-word adjectives.
Oh, so you think ahead of time of what you're trying to express.
Yes.
See, I make the mistake of just going out and looking for stuff without any aim or goal.
And that is certainly another way to do it, because you then look for different things doing it that way. So I think that's useful. But when people are looking for a place to start, that's the advice I try to give them.
Hey, Paul, thank you so much for jumping in at the last minute. Paul DeBourgeois is available. His website is colorbandit.com, and you teach those workshops for people who want to get better with their smartphone cameras. Can they find out more about that at colorbandit.com?
They can, and I do the workshops online as well.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much for joining us, Paul. More of your calls coming up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out. That was perfect, Leo.
Wasn't that perfect? You saved us, Paul. Thank you. Boy, that was fun. And what images. Man, they're gorgeous.
My pleasure. Thanks again for the invite.
Oh, good. I'm glad we could give you a plug. Colorbandit.com. Thanks, Paul.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. No problem. No problem, A-Tort. That's quite all right. Let me see your image here. Playing with his new iPhone 7 that's waterproof. Oh, that's gorgeous. What a shot. That is beautiful. I didn't ask Paul what kind of post-processing he does, but nice shot. Well, we'll get you on next time, Chris Bales. Actually, we got a lot. What's funny is the call went out. We got Catherine Hall volunteering. Thank you, dear. She just had a baby. So proud of her. Beautiful baby. We got A-Tort at the last minute. Came back from his beach. Who else? We had a couple other people. So I know. When I look at the iPhone 7 images on the phone, they look kind of over sharpened. They look really, really crisp. Especially in daylight shots, right? Where you have a lot of light. I've shown these before, but I'll show them again. Some of these iPhone shots I have. Unfortunately, some of my camera got mixed in. Oh, these have all been uploaded now. This is nice. I don't know if these are iPhone or Leica. Yeah, these are Leica. See if I can find an iPhone shot. Yeah, these are all. This is in Amsterdam at the Reich Museum. But these are all Leica shots. Don't I have? It's a lot of focus. I had somebody take that picture. It's a manual focus camera. There's no way there. Come on, I must have some. The ones in bright daylight, man, yeah, just really. This is iPhone. Oh yeah, these are the daylight ones. Yeah. f1.8. 1/5,988th of a second. ISO 20. This is 1/25,000th. Jeez, it was very bright. But this is all automatic, obviously. I'm not using any manual camera app. These are movies. But yeah, I think the iPhone did a very nice job. If you have enough light, yeah, super crisp, super bright. Okay, I got my shuffleboard going. Yeah, we didn't play shuffleboard once. It's kind of too cold up there. Interesting. I thought this was F2. I don't know how I got F1.8 out of there, but I guess there is an F. Oh, yeah, it's F1.8 now, isn't it? And Samsung's doing F1.7. You bought the Fast Photo D, Hughes? Nice. You know, before this came out, I was having my mom box up all her photos, but she never got around to doing it. So maybe I'll bring the scanner, buy the scanner, bring it over to her house, and fly over to Providence and do it. Nobel Prize laureate Bob Dylan, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. From the chat room, we were talking last hour, maybe it was this hour, with a fellow who had a Android device. He had an inexpensive Android device, and it only had 8 gigs of storage. And he said, every day or two, I have to clear out storage to make more space. User 4162 in the chat room, obviously, dialed in specifically to answer this question, said, I had the same problem with my phone as the caller an hour ago. Google Play Services is using up all the storage available on the phone. He said, I read about one phone where the Google Play cache used 22 gigabytes. So basically, it uses whatever's available for caching. And he said it started around June 2016. So obviously, there was an update. The only option is daily clearing the Google Play cache or turning off, and this is interesting, Wi-Fi or LTE. So what is the Google Play Services, and what is it caching? Google Play Services, what Google's done, which is kind of interesting, in order to keep its Android devices up to date, even without the cooperation of phone manufacturers and cell phone providers, like the big cell phone companies, they've separated out some of the key ingredients of Android into apps that are actually on the Play Store, even though you would never download these apps. But by putting them on the Play Store, Google can keep them up to date, just as they keep regular apps up to date by pushing out updates. Google Play Services is one of them. According to the description on the Play Store, it's used to update Google apps and apps from Google Play. So in other words, it's on the store, helping the store. The component provides core functionality like authentication to your Google services, synchronized contacts, access to the latest privacy settings, and higher quality, lower powered location-based services. It also enhances your app experience, and this is where the cache is coming in. Speeds up offline searches, provides more immersive maps, and improves gaming experiences. That's probably the key phrase in there. When they say speeds up, well, how would it speed it up? Oh, by caching contents that it downloads from the internet. So, then there are in the reviews a number of complaints, 1.598 million one-star reviews. People don't understand that you can't have an Android device with Google services without this on it. It's not an app. It's not a separate app you can uninstall or would want to uninstall. It's they made it an app in the App Store only so they could keep it up to date, like as they did with other features of the Android, because the manufacturers and the cell carriers weren't updating them. So Google said, "All right, would take us into our own hands." I would bet you that this will be fixed. It sounds like it is a problem. Now, if it started in June, it's been a while. I'm not sure what the answer is. I mean, you're kind of stuck with it. You can, as you see, if you go to the listing on the App Store for Google Play Services, you can go into App Info. Go to Settings, Apps, go to App Info, and clear the data. In the thumbnail they show on the Play Store, it's only using a few megabytes of data. Yeah, 1.48 megabytes. But apparently it could be more than that. I should look at one of my Android phones and see what it's using. So that's apparently the thing you want to clear, and it's perfectly harmless to clear it. The negative of clearing the data for it would just be that it might slow down certain things like, accessing, what does it say? It's sped up. Offline searches, maps. If you think about it, when you launch Google Maps, when you go to a new place, it has to kind of download the map, and you can see it in chunks doing that. But when you're where you've been before, it knows that's part of the cache. So disable that or clear that data. You can't disable it. Clearing that data means for it. One of the things that'll happen is, maps won't know where you are. Anyway, thank you once again to the chat room to the rescue. This is apparently something that's a known problem. Thank you, user 4162. Not his real name, by the way, for that tip. Now, we were talking, let's see. I guess Stan is next from La Puente, California. Hi, Stan.
Hi, Leo. I'm a longtime Verizon customer, and frankly, I'm not real happy with them. I would like to change.
You know, it's funny. I don't know anybody who is. Isn't that weird? My wife was a Verizon customer. I actually have everybody, including Verizon, but I pretty much use T-Mobile. And I finally, after a long time, convinced her to change to T-Mobile. We've saved a lot of money.
I am looking at T-Mobile, but I'm also looking at Google Fi. And
I love Google Fi.
Do you? My question is this. I'd like to try it, but I'm not sure I want to pony up all the money that they're asking for that new Pixel phone. I'm kind of looking to see if maybe I can't get a used Nexus 5X or 6P, something along those lines, to try and see if the service works for me here in the area.
So I can help you a little bit. First of all, if you go to store.google.com, they're still selling the older phones at a great discount. Last time I checked, let me make sure, but I believe they are. And the 5X or the 6P, they're very good phones. You know what? I don't see them. Somebody said somebody said he could get them. Oh, maybe you get it through Fi. That's the negative of Fi, is you have to use a Google phone, either the Nexus or the Pixel. The Pixel is absolutely overpriced. And it's very frustrating that they're charging that much for it. But they're charging the same as Samsung and Apple charge for their flagship phones. So I guess
I've been a long time Note user. I have currently have a Note 5.
Me too. Love the Note. I'm so sad what happened to the Note.
And I wouldn't object to spending that kind of money for a Pixel phone if I knew that Google Fi was going to work for me. That's why I'd kind of like to try it out.
So if you go to, somebody's telling me now, if you go to fi.google.com, you can still get the older phones. They're so anxious to get you into the Fi world that they will actually sell you the older phones. Yes. Cool. Nexus 6P, which I really like, $399. 5X, $199.
Better than the 5X?
Yes.
Okay.
Better battery life. If battery life is not an issue, 5X is a little bit smaller, and but I think both phones are actually pretty nice phones. Now, here's what I like about Fi. First of all, Google's reselling Sprint, T-Mobile, and U.S. Cellular. Mm-hmm. And the phones, the reason you have to use their hardware is the phone will automatically switch to whichever is stronger, including Wi-Fi.
Right.
So, and it hands off completely transparently. So you can be in the house, you'll be using Wi-Fi, get in the car, drive away. It'll say, what's better around here? Sprint, T-Mobile, U.S. Cellular, I'm going to do Sprint. And it'll switch over and you won't even know, and it'll work seamlessly. So in almost every area, you've got one or the other. So it works quite well geographically. It works really well internationally as well. They don't charge you extra for international data. You pay $20 for voice and unlimited texting, and then you $10 a gigabyte, and they charge you fractionally for your data. I think it's a very good price. I spend less on Fi and get better service than anybody else. So if you're willing to use a Google phone, and it sounds like you are, go to the Fi site, fi.google.com, and pick up maybe the 5X, $200. Try it out. See if you like it. Leo, I think it's great. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you. Yeah, so that's the trick. Not to go to store.google.com, but go to fi.google.com.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. And
thanks, Leo.
Yeah, I think you'd be, a lot of people like the 5X. I have a 6P, and, I'm actually looking forward to the Pixel. I think it's going to be, better in some respects. But
the only thing that worries me about the 5X is I've seen some rumblings about issues with Nougat on the 5X.
Interesting. Well, and also you can't put as much storage. It tops out at 32 gigabytes.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Not a lot. You can go up to 128 on the 6P or the Pixel.
Right.
They come with Marshmallow, oddly enough. But the biggest difference is screen size.
Yeah.
You know. So, boy, at $199, or maybe go to eBay and get one. Thing is, you're going to still need to go to Fi and get a SIM card and all of that.
Well, see, that was my question. If I did buy one anywhere else,
you just ask.
What would I need to look for specifically? I mean, I know they're unlocked, but I've seen some that say GSM, some CDMA. I mean, wouldn't it have to have both to work on both of those networks?
Yeah. They sold some that didn't have all of the radios, huh? That's weird.
Yeah.
I would make sure that it had both CDMA and GSM.
Okay.
I'm looking here. Yeah, both ones the Fi is selling do. So I didn't realize that they made some without CDMA. That's not.
I didn't either till I started looking at some of the used ones, and I saw an ad that said GSM, and then another one CDMA, and then another one that was GSM CDMA.
I don't know about that.
Well, I'm thinking maybe those might have been ones that were sold specifically by carriers.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. So get it from Google. $199. Come on.
It's a good deal.
It's a good deal. And by the way, Larry in the chat room saying I'm using Nougat on my 5X, no problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
Yeah, enjoy. I think you'll like Fi. I love it.
I'm looking forward to trying it.
Yeah, and I can't wait to get my Pixel because I want to move off. The only negative on the 5X is, in my opinion, is battery life.
Right.
All right. Take care. Okay. Bye-bye. And storage, 32 gigs. Whew. I know I call it Google Fi, Project Fi. But come on, if I say Project Fi, do you know what I'm talking about? I have to also consider the informational content of what I say. Fee, fi, fof. Yeah, Verizon in some areas is better than anybody. Lisa prefers Verizon here. She says she's disappointed a little bit with the T-Mobile coverage. We actually don't get T-Mobile in the building at all. But we got Wi-Fi, so. Our show today brought to you by our fine sponsor, Atlassian. You've heard me talk about Atlassian before. The Jira is great for agile development, and Confluence is their service app. We use HipChat like crazy around here. Every single group, whether it's sales or production or engineering, they all have more than one, in most cases, HipChat rooms. Well, now Atlassian's introduced something brand new, which we're also going to use. It works great with our Confluence setup. It's called Jira Service Desk. And it's for a support team. So if you're in support and you're tired of the clunky support tools that are a pain to use, you can really modernize your support with Jira Service Desk. And boy, everything your IT team needs from $10 a month. What? It's on the Jira platform. If you've ever used any of the Jira tools, you know how good that software is. Jira Service Desk gives customers an easy way to ask for help. You can stay on top of service level agreements with dynamic queues and mobile alerts. Help your agents be productive, from putting out fires to helping employees get stuff done. You can automate repetitive tasks, too, so your agents can focus on solving the important stuff. Jira Service Desk, Jira Service Desk, can also help external support teams, including those who want to use customer feedback to guide product development. I love that idea. Group customers, so you can filter queues, customize service level agreements, pull reports by organization. Customer emails can now be branded and customized. You can set up schedules and rules to control when and how emails are sent. Our IT department started to use it when we use Confluence to build support knowledge base. So with Jira, it works together very nicely. Track projects and tasks. Customize. Using swim lanes for the department's Kanban board. I love this. So here's the deal. You get a free trial of Jira Service Desk if you go to, I'm going to do it right now, Atlassian, Atlassian.com/twit. And the reason I'm going there is I want to show you the t-shirt you can get for free if you're one of the first 100 signups today. First 100 signups get the free. I love this. It's like the Konami code for your IT team. Atlassian.com. Atlassian.com. There it is, /twit. Sign up for that free trial and get the t-shirt free too. Atlassian.com/twit. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here. The Tech Guy, time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, printers, scanners, virtual reality headgear. 8888 Ask Leo is the number. If you hear me talk about something and you want to know more or you want to get that link, it's available at our website, techguylabs.com. No sign up, it's free. Don't watch your email, just go to techguylabs.com. And you can find each show there, every show divided up into hours, and then every hour divided up into questions, so it's really easy. And there's a comment section, and I hope you'll use that if you have a suggestion. If you hear one of our callers and you say, I got an idea, I know what kind of cable to use, that kind of thing. techguylabs.com. We have a visitor in our studio today who says he was using Google Fi on the volcano in Costa Rica. He's also used it in Brazil, travels around with his Nexus 6P and Google Fi, and you had great results. I had great results in the Baltic area. We were in 10 different countries in 12 days. Fi worked everywhere, and you don't pay extra for it, so that's what's kind of neat about it. It's still the same price. Phone calls are a little more expensive. They're 20 cents a minute, but that's fine. You know, I don't plan to make hour-long phone calls home, but if I had to make a 5-minute call, that's $1. Not so bad. Conky in the chat room says, Leo, it's Project Fi. Don't say Google Fi. It's Project Fi. If I say Project Fi, I don't think people will know what I'm talking about. So I say Google Fi. Maybe even then they don't know, but at least they know it has to do with Google. You know what I'm talking about. Google Fi. Yeah. Daniel, Riverside, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Hi, Daniel. Whoa! I think Daniel fell over. So I should explain, we have 6 lines, but if you get on, you may be waiting an hour or two to get on the air. And of course, Daniel did what everybody does. He put it on speakerphone. And then I shocked you by talking to you, didn't I? Uh-oh. Maybe he didn't even hear me. Hey, Daniel!
Yeah.
Hi, Daniel. Welcome to the show. What can I do for you? Did you just run over? Go ahead.
I'm stuck on F2.
You're stuck on F2? What does that mean?
Well, I bumped my computer at school.
Yeah?
And then this hard disk error 3F0 non-bootable device.
Uh-oh.
Boot device not found.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, so I took off the cover and I took all the battery off and the
check the cables and all that. So it's a tower case.
No, this is a laptop.
Oh, a laptop. You opened up the laptop.
Yeah. Well, I have an A+ certification, but I never got to use it. So
now you can. Yay!
Yeah, I'm using it on myself. So,
have a computer long enough, you'll be using it. A+ is the computer IT department cert. It's a great certification. If you passed your A+, you probably know more than I do about all this. So okay, so
no, actually, it was from the Veterans Administration.
Uh-huh.
I went on from using my bill. Now I'm in college.
Good for you.
Science.
Awesome, and thank you for your service. I'm thrilled that you're able to use the GI Bill to go to school. That's great.
Yeah, it is great. But what happens now is that I tried that to do it again, and this time it is really stuck because the last time I pulled the prong for the battery and I hit the power button for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
The last time I was able to go, everything came online except for the cursor. The only thing that wasn't happening was the touchpad cursor.
Okay. So there's a simpler, for future reference, there's an easier way to do this. By pulling the battery, you're clearing the system configuration information as well as the CMOS settings. And sometimes, how old is the laptop?
About a year.
Okay, so it's not old enough for that battery to have worn out. That does happen to computers, though. After a few years, the battery dies, and it's no longer saving settings information. Your best symptom for that is that the clock doesn't keep track of the time anymore. It loses track of the time.
CMOS.
Yeah, the CMOS. But inside there's ESCD, the Enhanced System Configuration Data. Generally, in BIOS, when you go into setup, you can clear that without having to jump or anything or pull the battery. More modern machines, that's how you do it.
Okay, well, I'm able to go to F10, and I'm in F10 right now. I'm under System Configuration.
Yes, there you go.
So I'm going down to Boot Options.
You might just try to reset it or to defaults. That would be my first. Did you try that, setting to defaults?
It does. I don't see where it does that.
Yeah, maybe up at a higher level. If you clear the system configuration data, then in theory the machine will go and
I can clear all secure boot keys.
Yeah, that's different. So secure boot is designed to keep somebody from modifying your boot system, your firmware, without your knowledge. But you don't need to clear those keys. That's a security feature. What I'm worried about is that it seems to have lost track of what its hardware is.
Yes.
And so it doesn't know what kind of drive, doesn't know what kind of touchpad and all that. Now, if you generally, what I do in a circumstance like this is I clear the data, reboot, then I get into Windows, now understanding that Windows is going to be kind of hobbling along, and let Windows plug and play replace drivers for all of this stuff.
I knew it was a driver issue.
It sounds like a driver issue. Of course, the first step is to make sure that the proper hardware is being reported to the operating system. That's why you clear the ESCD. And then Windows, if it's getting the right information about the trackpad, this is Synaptics C3's 541, it should install the proper driver for that.
Well, when I did the upgrade from 8.1 to 10, and it didn't take. There was one issue. All right. I think that's all.
One way to this might be the time to tear it down and start all over. So you can go to Microsoft.com and get the Windows Media Creation tool, and the good news is you've been authenticated, you've been authorized for use of Windows 10, right? It was So now Microsoft has that system, that Pavilion, in its database. So you could erase the drive, take out the drive, put in a new drive, get the Windows Media Creation tool, create a Windows 10 boot USB key, and install it. And Microsoft will say, "Oh yeah, hey, welcome back. I see you rebooted. Okay, cool," and it'll re-authenticate it.
Okay, so I am going to need a new hard drive.
Well, maybe. I don't know exactly what's wrong. So the thing I would do, as I said, is reset everything, including wiping the drive and starting over, and reinstalling Windows. And if you got your data off, I presume, and if you haven't yet, get your data off now, because
it's just it's most of our stuff at school is these hybrid classes.
Right, so you don't care.
We go on their server and all their stuff.
Right. So they've got all your stuff. Yeah, I think this would be a good project for the rest of the day is to reinstall Windows 10.
Okay.
All right. Because it sounds like you didn't get a good upgrade. And in general, I've never been a fan of upgrading like 8.1 to 10. That's how Microsoft wanted you to do it, and you did it. And it didn't go quite right. So now I would say...
never did.
Yeah, now I'd say do a clean install, which in general, as you know, is probably the best way to do any update to an operating system, is to wipe the drive and start fresh.
Well, the 8.1 was just kind of like a little hiccup along the way, it feels like,
Yeah, it was more than a hiccup. I think it was a case of nausea, as a matter of fact.
It was
horrible. Windows 8 was a horrible mistake that Microsoft made. Even they know it. But Windows 10 is great. I like Windows 10. I say great with the one little thing, which is it seems to crash an awful lot, at least on some systems, including my own. It's a little bit less reliable, and I think Microsoft's working as fast as they can to fix that. And heck, it's only been a year, so give them some time. I think reinstall, start all over, use default settings, clear the ESCD, reinstall Windows 10. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Zap the pram. If it were a Mac, I'd say that too. Wow. Wow. What a mess. But there's a case of somebody who has to use Windows, so that's the way to do it. It's an interesting computer science problem, isn't it? Yay. Well, I guess I don't have a whole lot of prints. So I don't know how much I'll be able to use this. I scanned all the slides. Easy one-touch photo scanning, restore faded photos, share memories via Facebook, email, and cloud services, organize the document scan. It's a document scanner, which 45 page per minute. That's nice. That would be useful. Get rid of all the paper. Oh, yes, I was going to tell you. So Robert Heron came up. Remember that Scott Wilkinson and Robert had come while I was on vacation. Scott did the show, and then he and Robert calibrated my new LG OLED B6 TV. And Scott apparently had gotten a new colorimeter and new software. It was on Windows. He wasn't really familiar with Windows, but they got very anomalous results. The color reproduction was, he thought, broken. But Robert also has his tools. He didn't have them that day. So Robert said, well, they had contacted LG. LG was very concerned. So Robert came up yesterday with all of his tools, spent 4 or 5 hours. I got home after the shows at 5:45. He was still there, calibrating it. And he said, no, it's perfect. He said, no, excellent color reproduction. I've got it, I did a little tweaking, of course, but I've got it the exact right color space. It's perfect. Red is red. Yellow is yellow. So he fully calibrated. I now have Scott's settings, Robert's settings. Anyway, nothing. The good news is, and I'm sure LG is happy to hear this too, the TV is perfect. And I watched, to celebrate, I watched a UHD movie last night. It looked great. So I'm very happy. I'm very relieved. Very relieved. So yeah, he did his own calibration with his tool, but his colorimeter and his software reported excellent color reproduction across the whole color space. So, well, every panel has to be calibrated separately, I tried to buy him dinner. He wanted to go home. We were making dinner. I said, "Come, stay to dinner. Stay to dinner." No, I wouldn't want to send it back. I wouldn't have sent it back. I would just have lived with it because it looked good to me. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, jamming on a Tech Guy show. All right, let me check my split flap display here and see. A boy named Kim from San Diego. How do you do?
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I am great, Kim. How are you?
I'm well. Living the dream in San Diego. Can't ask for better weather. It's a beautiful place, right?
You know what, Lisa and I love going down to San Diego. We make a habit of it at least once or twice a year. It's beautiful down there. We try to stay at the beautiful Coronado, the Hotel del Coronado down there.
Oh, very nice.
On the beach.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, really gorgeous. So what can I do for you?
I'm looking at a laptop, 15.6 screen, basic internet, basic email, but the specific thing that I do is I download trading software. I'm a trader, and so therefore I need the ability to handle that structure. Other than that, I'm not a gamer or any of that type of thing. I'm looking to upgrade into something that's because I only need a mechanism just to bring the data through. So somewhere in that $400 range is what I'm looking for. I've heard you mention Acer. I've heard you mention Dell. I'm just looking for some recommendations in that range.
Yeah, I don't expect that the trading software is very demanding, right? It's not doing. Is it doing calculating on locally or no? It's just downloading information and displaying it.
Purely a data information only, display only. The software today is much more sophisticated than it was 20 years ago, where you had to buy the actual software and download it. You just bring it in from whatever site.
Are you using a browser for it, or do you have to have your own dedicated application?
No, browser only.
Oh. So really, you don't need a Windows machine specifically. You just need a good browser.
Well, yeah, but I've got an old, what I consider, I guess it would be old, about an old satellite Toshiba, which has been great, but it's got Vista on it, so I need to either go to, and what I'm seeing a lot of in the new ones is either a 7 or a 10. I've heard you have some issues with 10 with regards to crashes and things of this nature.
If you get a machine that comes with 10, you're not going to have the similar problems. It's only the upgraded machines. Is touch important to you or not? Would you like to be able to? No. External displays, I know a lot of traders run multiple displays. Do you need that?
Yeah, I have 2 external screens or monitors, if you will, and that's really all I need. Mine is pretty simple. And
so the laptop does have to have the ability to run 2 external monitors?
Correct.
Okay. That actually...
I can get away with 1, but I'd like to have 2.
That's a little unusual because generally, while most laptops have some sort of single display, external display, having 2 sometimes could be a problem. I think more modern laptops would be easier because they'll have a mini display port or a Type-C connector that can actually do pass-through. If you have a Type-C connector, you could pass through the monitors. Right. Otherwise, you'd have to use a USB monitor. Is that what you're using right now with your Toshibas?
Yeah. I have one, I guess it's the old SCSI and one on the USB.
Yeah, it's not SCSI, it's VGA. But that's probably, VGA, So that makes sense. So as long as the only external USB displays are fine, they're just a little slow, but it sounds like that's adequate for what you need.
Right.
So that wouldn't be a big issue at all. There are lots of good choices out there. The price point is the only limiting factor. And
I'm looking for something in that 400 range because I really don't. I mean, I've seen them as really expensive, and I've looked at the storage and the RAM and all that other fancy stuff. I don't need a whole lot, but based on what I have versus what's available today is like light years. But
you'd get so. I do like Dell, and you can get an even better deal if you go to the Dell outlet.
Right.
Dell, like a lot of companies, they'll sell direct to consumers. Apple does this too. And if a consumer opens the box, takes it out and says, oh, I don't like that color, and puts it back and sends it back, they're not allowed by state law to sell it as new. That's good. Yeah, that's good for you because that means you buy what they will call refurbished. But the problem, in many cases, never was even used. If you get from the original manufacturer a current model and the full warranty, often you're going to save hundreds of dollars and get exactly what you would have gotten. The only difference is the box will have been opened.
How great! See, I didn't know that. How great! I like that idea.
So I would go to the Dell outlet. You just Google Dell outlet, and they have a lot of. You need an Inspiron 15-inch display. That's probably a little too slow for you, but that's $199 at the outlet. You could get obviously a better one. I think what you just described is not complicated. You do want the ability to run on multiple monitors, one from the monitor port, one from the USB port.
Right.
Any good computer should be able to do that. Your Toshiba could do it.
It's doing it fine. Yeah.
Processing speed is not an issue because you're not doing local processing. It's just a fast browser. And I think what you'd want, though, I would imagine on the internal 15-inch display is good high-quality resolution, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is something that most definitely, because I've seen this. Some of it's where it's not really it's like wouldn't work, or you're straining your eyes. It's not really clear. It's like you can see what's going on, but it just doesn't have that crisp look, and I prefer that crisp look.
They have 6th generation i5 processors. 15 and 14-inch displays of Inspiron. Here's one, the Inspiron 15. It's a 2-in-1, which I think would be kind of cool because that means you can fold it over and not even have the keyboard, just be looking at a screen. That's $500 with an i5, Windows 10, 500 gig hard drive, 4 gigs of RAM. Seems like all the things you would need. So I would look at the Dell outlet. I think you'll get a good deal there, and that way you get a little bit better hardware than you'd get if you were buying it brand new.
Super. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for the call. And and I do like Asus and I do like Acer. Lenovo, although I don't like the inexpensive Lenovos. If you're going to go Lenovo, you're going to get, spend the money and get a ThinkPad. The higher-end Lenovos, those are going to be more than $500 in most cases. I don't think you need Kaby Lake, the newest, latest Intel processor. I don't think that matters that much. But Dell is selling them. My favorite Dell is probably out of your price range. That's the Dell XPS. Those are beautiful. Edge-to-edge displays, really excellent touch displays. They have a 13 and a 15. That's probably my favorite Windows machine out there. Acer makes a very nice ultra-thin, the S7. And I've been using the HP. It's a 13-inch. It's very pretty. It's clearly an executive computer, the Spectre 13T. It's confusing because HP makes a variety of Spectres. But this is the one with kind of the weird copper hinges and kind of a brown top, and it's thinner than a MacBook. It's what it was at the time, the thinnest laptop made. Very thin, very light. Really a beautiful machine. It has only one negative. It has Thunderbolt 3 USB ports, 2 of them, and it has USB-C charging, but unlike any other USB machine I've ever seen, including Apple's, it has to use the HP adapter. Come on, HP. That's ridiculous. That's just a blatant grab for your cash. But in every other respect, this is a beautiful machine, and it runs Linux beautifully. I immediately took Windows off of it. I really like it. You can get a Lenovo ThinkPad for $600 according to our chat room with an SSD. So there are, shopping around, computer prices really remarkable at how much they've fallen. Just don't expect any support. That's what they took out. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, ThinkPads can be like rental cars.
You're out.
HP's Spectre. This is my my go-to home computer now. It wasn't cheap. It's very fancy. And I bought it because I wanted to review it. But and at first I was very disappointed because I couldn't get Windows 10 off of it. But Antergos, the latest Antergos with 4.7, the 4.7 kernel runs on everything. Runs beautifully on this. 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig SSD, 13.3 inch high quality. Not touch. I don't, for Linux, I don't care about that. Really pretty. Once I was able to get Linux running on this, I just wish I could use something besides the HP adapter. That just really frustrates me. Okay. Yeah, and Dell is very good for Linux. I've always used. This is a couple of generations ago, XPS Ubuntu edition. Should probably update it. I haven't used it in a while. But Dell runs really well on Linux. Runs really well on Dell's because they make the effort to get all the drivers working and everything. Yeah, there's a lot on the Dell Refurb site. Moto G is an excellent, low-cost Android phone. Highly recommend them. Yeah, love them. Love them. Oh, I put Elementary OS on here. I forgot. No wonder it looks so strange. I was playing with another a Linux designed to make Mac people happy. So it's kind of Mac-ish looking. And they kind of redid the generic apps to look like Mac apps and stuff. It's very pretty. I don't know if there's really any need for it. This is called Elementary OS, but I should update it. Oh, I like having pretty photo desktops. That's one of my favorite things. And this is a GNOME extension that changes the desktop wallpaper every 5 minutes, which I really like. I don't know. I never see the desktop. But when I see it, I want to see, pretty. I want to see pretty stuff. I like pretty. I use everything full screen, so. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, last half hour. But let's get a bunch of calls in here. Let's help a lot of people, okay? All right, starting with Rob in Long Beach. Hi, Rob. Leo Laporte.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Oh, not as good as I'd like to be.
What's the matter? What's the matter?
Well, for one thing, I updated my computers to Windows 10.
Oh, I don't need to ask anymore.
A week later, it took a total dump.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Microsoft.
So now I have a Chromebook.
Good man.
I followed your advice there, and it does everything I need.
Great. But
unfortunately, I followed your advice on the phone, too.
Uh-oh. But, yeah, what's the but?
Well, I got the...
you didn't get a Note 7?
The Moto 4G.
Okay.
And I have shut off every app on it, and still, every time I turn it on, I get ads that I don't want.
You get ads?
Yes. Every time it turns on, I get ads.
What carrier did you buy it from?
Your favorite, I'm sure, Sprint.
Yeah, I bet you Sprint's putting those on there.
Well, I took it to their store, and they said, gee, it sounds like an app virus.
Oh, it could be. So you can, I mean, this would be a good way to, so you didn't, when you first took it out of the box, you didn't have ads.
Well, I bought it on Amazon.
Oh. Okay, so if you buy a used phone, was it used?
No, it's brand new.
Oh, all right. And when you turned it on, did you get Amazon ads?
Well, I took it there because I needed a SIM card.
I wonder if Amazon's...
And the first thing he did was turn it on and then set the screen lock and a bunch of other crap I don't need.
Oh. There's nothing worse than a quote, helpful geek. Just the worst.
Yeah.
We'll go in there and we will go, oh, well, clearly, you know, you got to be using it. Okay, see you later. And then you go, what happened? All right, so the first thing you can do...
Why did you do that? This thing, while I get used to it, is going to be shutting off every 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, I don't want you... You shouldn't be seeing ads. What are the ads for? Gambling sites?
They're ads for everything from earbuds that I don't use to books and movies.
So Amazon does sell subsidized devices. I don't know if they sell subsidized Moto phones, but they do sell subsidized Kindles and phones from other manufacturers like Blue with Amazon ads on them. Oh, yes, look, there it is, including the Moto G 4th generation with lock screen offers and ads. So that's the one you bought, my friend. It says you got a good deal on it. Well, there might be, probably is, but so buyer beware. When you go to that listing on Amazon, it says we're going to give you a good deal. You got a better deal on it, right? They cut the price because we're going to put ads on it. So you probably just didn't pay close attention to the listing, but it does say with lock screen offers and ads. It's a Prime exclusive, and that's what you're seeing. Now, so if I get the 32 gig with offers and ads, $229.99. Without offers and ads, $229.99. Well, you pushed the wrong button, I guess. That's funny. You don't even get a break? Seems like you ought to get a break. They do that with the Kindle. It doesn't bother me so much in the Kindle because it's just on the lock screen. So that's what you're seeing, and that's what you bought. Now, you could return it. Amazon has a very generous return policy and say, no, I pressed the wrong button. I didn't want the ones with offers and ads. I wanted the standard version without offers and ads. And as far as I can tell, it's the same price, which is a little bizarre. So send it back. Say, no, I don't want offers and ads. If you wanted to get around it, you might be able to. The thing to do would be, what this would involve, though, I should let you know, is what we call rooting the phone, which is, and some phones are locked. Normally the Moto is not, by the way, but I bet you Amazon locked it. So they may put up a roadblock. Lock's not necessarily the final roadblock, but it might make it a little harder to root it, which gives you, super user, root administrator permissions on the phone, just as you would have on a computer. And then once you root it, you can modify the phone further by changing the bootloader, which is the piece of software that, like BIOS, starts the phone up and loads the ROM. And once you've modified the bootloader, you can put other ROMs on there. And I'm sure you can download from XDA developers or a site linked from XDA developers ROMs for this phone that don't have ads on it. The ethicality of that might be questionable since you actually, bought the one that had the ads on it. On the other hand, you don't get a discount, so I'm not really sure why. I don't know. I don't get it. So be careful when you're rooting a phone. There's always a potential of bricking it. My first choice would be to go back to Amazon and say, "Oops, didn't want the one with ads. Want the one without ads," and swap it. And they'll probably do that. Otherwise, the Moto G is a great phone. I'm pretty sure I didn't say get the Moto G with the ads built in. Somebody in the chat room is telling me that XDA Developers also has a guide to removing the ads. Again, the ethicality of it, you're going to have to consider. In my opinion, you made the deal with Amazon. That was the deal. But XDA Developers, xda-developers.com, search for, or you probably Google it too, remove ads from Moto G Amazon. And I bet you can do it. Now, what's funny is somebody in the chat room saying on my browser, the one with the ads is $50 cheaper. That sounds right. You should save money. It's just my for some reason, maybe they see me coming. I don't know. Oh, I'm not locked in. That's why. I'm not logged in. That's why. I'll have to log in. That's what it is. They don't know that I'm a Prime member. Yeah. Now, big difference. Now it's a big difference. So with the ads, $149.99. Without the ads, $199.99. So there you go. You saved $50. You got the phone a lot cheaper. And the deal you made with Amazon is you're going to get ads on the lock screen. That's the way it worked. The right thing to do would be send it back to Amazon. But there might be a little out, which is I know why you called, at xda-developers.com. Moving on. Let's see. Ken, Arkansas. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ken.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm calling you about viruses on Android phones. I know they're very rare. I'm kind of wondering if the phone's hacked or something. But I guess basically what's happening is it's my girlfriend's phone. She uses the Twitter app a lot. It freezes up. She doesn't get her notifications, things like that. And then there's another thing, like if you're trying to look up something on Chrome or something, it'll come up like that, congratulations,
yeah,
just claimed and blah, blah,
yeah. So the best thing to do is go into settings and do the factory reset. That'll wipe the phone.
Okay, done that. That's the problem.
And it's still there?
Couple weeks. I think it's
Oh, she's installing something. Tell her to stop it.
Well, no, she's not installing anything. I talked to the local cable company about it, and they said that what it is it has a virus, and the virus is actually backed up in Google.
Yeah. I'll tell you what you can do about that when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And yeah, it's not that rare. Unfortunately, it's kind of common. It's kind of a mild malware. So the deal is, I think you misunderstood in the chat room, you pay $50 less for the phone with ads. If you pay $50 more, you won't have ads. And they did that with the Kindle. They do that with other Amazon devices and apparently with the Blue phones as well. So that's the deal. You can get a ad subsidized. So it's a subsidized phone. You have to be an Amazon Prime member, and then you paid that $80 privilege to get a $50 phone savings. Prime exclusive with offers and ads, or standard version without offers and ads. In the Prime version is, what is it, $50 less? Yeah. I don't know. It's $50, but you're going to see ads for the rest of your life. Right, users 2072. That's the answer. So it is being backed up, but you don't have to let Google restore it when you get a new phone. So the key is to go into the settings, backup and reset, and disable the Google backup. Or reset the phone, and when it asks you, do you want to restore from Google, say no. And then you'll get a clean device. I think Low Tech, is right that you can select what you want restored. Don't restore the apps. On the Kindle, you can log in to the Kindle and pay to have the ads removed. I wonder if they can do that with a phone. Call Amazon. Maybe you just say, what if I send you $50? Will you disable the ads? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Listen to the man. 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. So chat room has lots of thoughts about this removal of the ads. Apparently, if you go to your Amazon settings and you go to your devices, there, in some cases at least, certainly with a Kindle, you can say, here, take $50, take the ads off. But there's also a way to do that. Doesn't require rooting the phone, and that's available on the XDA developers. And then somebody says, yeah, but if everybody does that, Amazon will stop offering this ad-subsidized program. And this is a good deal for somebody who wants to save money but doesn't mind having like an ad on the lock screen or two. So you be the judge. You be the judge. Ken is on the line. He is... Oh, I think that was Ken. Okay. Let's go to the next call. No, it's still Ken.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So,
we were talking, that's right, about viruses.
Right.
So, this is a case of your girlfriend at some point went to the Play Store and installed something that did this. By the way, not uncommon, unfortunately. The good news is you probably can get rid of it either by uninstalling that app or resetting the phone. You said you did that. The key is when you restore the phone, it's going to ask you, well, do you want to restore stuff from Google? Because Google does back up, if it's turned on in the settings, backs up your information, your passwords, your settings, and which apps you have installed, and will proceed to re-download all those apps. So you don't want that. Just say, download the contacts, download the calendars, that's fine, but don't download the apps. And then tell your girlfriend there was something. Usually it's kind of dopey apps. It's not mainstream apps. Tell your girlfriend to stick to the apps, the big apps from known people, not the weird wallpaper apps or the, tips apps, things like that. Stick with stuff that's well known. I think you'll be all right. But yeah, it's not the Android marketplace. The good news is generally what will happen, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened, is Google will kill these apps as soon as it figures out it's going on. I don't think that Google will back up a setting like that. And then, of course, the other thing you want to do, and this is something I think is very important for Android users to remember, Google now offers a monthly security update, kind of like Microsoft does for Windows. If you're using a Google phone, a Pixel or a Nexus, those are guaranteed to come in a timely fashion as soon as they're available. If you get the phone from a carrier and another manufacturer, both the carrier and the manufacturer are roadblocks to that. And you aren't necessarily going to get those updates in a timely fashion, in some cases at all. And the cheaper the phone, the less likely you'll get those updates. So if you have a old Android device, it was an inexpensive Android device, you're probably vulnerable to all sorts of stuff because Google's always, every month, fixing stuff. And you know what happens when you do regular updates. It's an announcement to the hacker community, oh, there's a problem. So it's kind of, it's a risky... Once you start doing these regular updates, you're kind of saying, hey, there's problems in this, and this area. And the hackers say, oh, well, let's figure out what those are so we can take advantage of all those people who didn't update. Steve in New Jersey, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Steve.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I have kind of a two-part question for you. This story kind of started with us taking a look at our phone plans because the Verizon plan is expiring, and we started looking at the ads that they were having for Sprint and everything else. So the first part of the question is this. Right now, I have a Motorola Turbo Droid, and I bought it because in its time, I guess it was maybe 18 months ago, 20 months ago, something like that, it was incredibly good battery life.
Yeah. I have one, too, the Turbo Max, yeah.
Yeah, the life is just ridiculous. But the thing is, when they go to Sprint, they don't have Motorola phones. So I have LG and Samsung.
And they don't have Droid. Droid is an exclusive for Verizon.
That's exactly right.
That's how they lock you in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So now the problem becomes, if I do jump over to Sprint, is there a phone there that has something similar battery life?
Yeah. So the first thing I should point out is you don't have to get a phone from Sprint. There are so carriers lock phones, called carrier locking. If you buy a phone from Verizon, Sprint, AT&T, or T-Mobile, in most cases, you try to put a SIM from another company in there. It'll say, no. You got this from Sprint. You have to use it with Sprint. You got this from Verizon. So your Droid is probably carrier locked. However, you can ask the company to unlock it. If you're in good standing and you've paid for the phone, you've had that phone a couple of years.
Yeah.
You can say to Verizon, please unlock this phone.
They'll do that.
They may or may not. Different companies have different policies. AT&T will, T-Mobile will. I can't remember whether Verizon will. Ask them to unlock it. So that's possibility number one. You may get them to unlock it, in which case you could take it to Sprint.
Okay, and if they say they don't unlock it?
Then you need a new phone, and you don't have to get it from Sprint. You can get an unlocked phone from another company, and you could get a Motorola phone if you want, the Motorola Z, for instance. But if what you're saying is I want maximum battery life, then your choices are considerably limited, because what is happening with smartphones? They're getting thinner, lighter, and what that means is the battery is getting smaller and smaller. So currently the best battery life out there is on an iPhone, especially the iPhone Plus models, the 6 Plus, 6S Plus, and the 7 Plus. Those are the bigger 5.5-inch iPhones, and they have very, very good battery life.
I've stayed away from the iPhone because, like, I have the iPad, I have the iPad Mini, I have the Max, I have everything. So this is my foot into the other side of the fence. You know what I mean?
No, that's fine. There are other models that have excellent battery life. The Sony Xperias have very, very good battery life. Those are Android.
Okay. All right.
And by the way, you may be able to get that from Sprint. But it is disappointing. A lot of the top phones out there right now, including many of the Motorola phones, are not very good. They won't. All I ask is give me 20 hours. I want to get through the day in normal use.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then there's the second half of my question, which is like the whole family is giving me a hard time because, and I don't know if you can answer this one or not, but the whole family is giving me a hard time because they all are happy with the Verizon coverage, but I mean, I'm paying like almost $300.
It's very expensive. Yeah, even Verizon kind of acknowledges that.
Yeah. So I'm like, they're all pushing me. No, we can't switch to Sprint. Well, you know, the coverage is bad. I don't know.
Well, it's really very dependent on geography, and you can't trust the carriers' coverage maps. They're worthless. But there are places you can go to kind of get honest coverage maps, or you can go to Sprint and say, I want to test it out. Give me a phone for two weeks and let me see. And if you don't like it, you're not stuck.
Yeah, they did offer us that for 30 days. They said try it.
So that's, coverage really depends on where you are. Sprint is not very good where I live. T-Mobile's very good. Verizon's very good. AT&T's very good. Sprint's terrible. On the other hand, in Kansas City, Sprint's home base, it's excellent. So it really just depends. Sprint is actually Southern Pacific. That's the SP in Sprint. And they're best wherever they got the railway goes. They put in cell sites along the Southern Pacific Railroad.
Okay.
And that's why Kansas City's very good. Now, they've obviously gone beyond that. In fact, they've been purchased by a big Japanese a consortium, SoftBank, and SoftBank's putting billions into improving coverage. I think it's very. Sprint made they stumbled with going to 4G. They used something called WiMAX, which was a flop, and they've been hurt by that. But they're working very rapidly to get better. And you may be lucky enough in your area to be good. The problem is in New Jersey, Verizon's king because it was the old 9X.
Yes.
And it was New York, New Jersey. That's where Verizon's best. doesn't mean that other companies haven't moved in. So you just need to check around and see, which ones work best in your building, in your home. And just, I don't know that Sprint's bad there, but I know Verizon's very good. Try T-Mobile, too. I love T-Mobile. Hey, thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Have a great Geek Week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts. For this show, we talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.